Yes, yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another day with the sun shining down and another opportunity to reach the wonderful people that are out there because that's who I like to reach. I like to reach the people with the good energy. It's your man, your fam, your bro, King A.D.S. or A.D.S. out here in the Inland Empire. Just uh just trying to take a moment, you know what I mean? Take a moment to connect with you, reach out and do it the way that I can. I'm out here with Big Blue as you could see, and I just got done doing some organizing. Things are still slow. The world, our economy, everything's in turmoil. All the stuff with just self-explanatory things that are going on out here, and the message I'm here to express is love, cause all we need is love, right? And I know that sounds corny, but I also believe it and it's true. And I just wanted to take time to maybe share a little bit about the past and my experiences and touch on a few things. And no matter what the hardships, the message also to persevere, keep on going, and keep your good energy because of all the things you could experience in this world. And I do believe that if a person hasn't had the time to experience something, they'll definitely get their moment. Like if a person never has seemed to fall on their face, then they will. Everyone gets their chance out here to be, to see how you're gonna deal with it, what you're gonna do next, kind of thing. Um, but I just wanted to touch on something. I get a little bit nervous talking about it, like how to approach it or whatever, because I do see some of the, there's ignorance out there always, and there always will be because everybody learns at their own pace. And misconceptions come from ignorance and lack of education on scenarios or going to the source also for the information. But for my own experiences, I'm originally born on the East Coast. I came from the city of Brooklyn. A lot of my family is still there in New York. Shout to all my NY peeps. You know what I'm saying? Big time love from Cali, from the West Coast. Your transplant brother has assimilated to the West Coast way of life. And but yeah, I just wanted to get with you though, everybody, to say, like, how I had culture shock and seeing a different world, right? Seeing a whole different scenario from what I was already becoming accustomed to. And I was still a kid. Like when we moved to California, I was like almost 10 years old, you know what I mean? So I turned 10 that summer. So I already had my mannerisms set. We also lived in Florida right before coming to California, which was also interesting, and I learned things there. As another culture shock there as well. But here, speaking to my, everybody, but I got love for my Latin brothers and sisters, and all the good people everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I did notice, I remember the first time. I gotta start there. I should start there really. Is I remember the first time come when I was at school. I was at school, and there was this girl, dude. It's always a girl, right? But it was this girl. If you're a guy, it's always like a girl, right? Like those old stories, those old movies too, like in the '80s. But it was always a girl, man. And there was this, a few girls actually, but I just remember thinking, who are these Indian, Native American looking girls, man, with this nice skin? This one girl, she had like, caramel complected, like, sandy brown hair, and nice caramel complected skin, just the prettiest, sweetest thing, and that's when I learned about Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? I knew about Dominicans and Trinidadians and Barbados, people from Barbados. I knew about Puerto Ricans, right? And we kind of, but I didn't know about Mexicans yet. You know what I mean? So I was learning, and I thought, the old code that I was used to, and other people from the East Coast can attest to this. I know that they've had a similar experience, and it's not all, it doesn't come from bright places, but we recognize the likeness in one another and we all figured together that we're collectively in the same boats as minorities. And this was the first time that I, soon after, discovering this beautiful Indian looking like woman, and or woman, a girl, and all kinds of stuff like that. But then shortly after, I started learning about a few tensions and differences and things, and I was like, hmm. And I noticed that they don't see themselves as like us, you know what I mean? They don't see ourselves in them, and whatever. So and I noticed that there was some tension a little bit between the black community and the Mexicans a bit from time to time. Not everywhere. Good people are always good people, no matter what. Individuals are the shit. So when people talk about individuality not being a good thing, nah, dude, it's definitely, you pick and choose how you choose to interact with this world. Your individuality is golden too at the same time. You just have to use some discernment, right? Like balance. But nevertheless, it was the first time I had witnessed something like this, and I thought it was the strangest thing. And to me, it was backwards. You know what I'm saying? Because everywhere else, there was an understanding that brown skin is brown skin. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, I know it sounds blunt, and if you're white and you've never heard anything like this, and you're watching this, I love you. You know what I'm saying? But these are things that are true in our communities. But that understanding went out the window. It was a strange scenario. It was the first time I've ever seen it, and immediately wondered, do these people think, like, not like these people, but you know what I mean, like just individuals, like, is this group of individuals at the time, do they think that they're in a different boat? There's obviously some sort of disconnect. But but just to let you know, that never stopped me. I was already in at Mexican food, my cool peeps and everything like that. And I always like different languages and cultures, Spanish, all that shit. So it was like, it's too late, we're doing this, I'm already in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too late, real tough luck, man. You know what I mean? I'm in. Well, I'm into this, we're doing it. I like the get up, I like the swag, we're doing it, right? So for as far as I can, concerned, like, I've never had any qualms or weirdness, but I did notice it and stuff. And I did actually experience racism. I experienced, like, white racism, passive racism, Mexicans being racist. I would say in my lifetime here in California, that's what I experienced. I experienced racism from white people and Mexicans, and I'm not speaking for everybody at all. Not at all. It's not by far. We want to talk about minorities. That's a minority. You know what I mean? And it comes from the uninformed. You know what I mean? The uninformed, and unfortunately ignorant, and unfortunately not as intelligent, and obviously being led, and and being used and manipulated and coerced into things that do not serve the better judgment or better image or likeness of them or their family or community or culture or history. Oh yeah, let's talk about history a little bit. I think that you guys would find this interesting, because I did. And do your own research, because I did. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. But I'm sure you could see how we have a shared Aboriginal roots, right? You also should know that in some parts of the world, even though they call you Latin, it's because you were colonized, not because you were Latin. You're not even Latin, you know what I mean? Your roots are not Latin at all. Your native tongue is not Spanish, just because you got conquered by Latin speaking people, which, that's like Portuguese, Spanish, French, you know what I'm saying? Those are all Latin languages, not to mention Latin itself, right? Like, but there's more history. We're more intermingled. And there was evidence, just like those stones, those carvings that people try to destroy with the low bridge, wide nose, big lips, black guy statues and stuff like that. And those time periods that those things come from is very interesting, because it would be your, I would guess, a precursor to the Aztecs, if not the Aztecs. Because at the tail end of the Aztec stuff, it gets kind of, there's some interesting things too. It changes, you know what I mean? But in a time where it was like, I would think it's between Aboriginal into what you call Native American. You know what I mean? That's what I would think the most, you know, judging off the way things play out. Um, but you had the builder race, what they called them, the builder race. That symbol for the builder race is a beetle. You know what I'm saying? So the beetle, this ties in, okay? The guys, this ties in. Stick with me. This kind of stuff all comes around full circle. So it was the beetle, okay? The black beetle at that. What they call the dung beetle, right? It rolls balls of dung and all kinds of stuff, okay? And it transports things and packs things away, organized way. But it constructs things all day, right? And so it's the beetle, all right? Now, the Egyptian and African people represented this builder race, okay? Some of the glyphs show people traveling afar, boomerangs, different things, hunting methods with afros, with Afrocentric hair and traits, braids in this carvings and things like that. And we were chilling with you, hanging out with you, and we were connecting on what we knew, and it was a beautiful time. And then you have, this is all, and it's not coming from me, guys, okay? This is just stuff that I looked into. So it's like, check it out for yourself. I might have some of the order wrong, you know what I mean? But nevertheless, our story is way more fascinating, always way more eye-opening than the surface, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm sharing it. But when you guys got invaded again by the Spaniards, which were Europeans, and you know, it just, you know, the ideology that was going on, and we ripped through everything, and they raped and pillaged and killed in the name of whatever cause, yada yada, right? It's part of the history, and it did happen. But that's when you guys started having the derogatory. Oh yeah, because I gotta tell you the term, right? That term you've heard, mayate, right? That's not the word. They taught you the wrong word. See, what they were doing is trying to rewrite history, try to bastardize what you held kin, what you held dear, your roots, your people, your ancestors, your cousin. You know what I mean? They were trying to cut off what it is. The word is spelled the same way, almost the same way, but the way it's pronounced in Egypt, in Africa, is Ma'at. And Ma'at, I believe, is the goddess of balance and principles. You can look all this stuff up too, because I'm doing this video on a whim. I just want to share, and this is popping up, so I'm just going through it. But the laws of Ma'at also have a lot of rules of virtue, balance, and things to that nature, and ways of life similar to the commandments. And you will find a lot of the foreground work of where they took the information to make the commandments, and other passages from the Bible all come from those old times. And so they're all derivative spin-offs, you know what I mean? But this time you can see how there was a switch up, how there was a coercing, a shift in narrative at the time. Very nasty, dirty stuff. And you still see it to this day with a lot of things. It's not any particular one thing. You know what I mean? It's just a certain personality type that we're not too fond of. But nevertheless, yeah, they would change the terminology to mean a derogatory, make it a derogatory term, while they were trying to oppress the same people you lived in harmony with. And that's why they turned it from a term of endearment as the builder into the toy that you guys humiliate. You're taking nature and you are abusing it for your own entertainment. If that's not bad, I don't know what is. You know, like, a little part of you in your bones that you feel in your soul, in your heart, in your flesh, that says that that's right. Why don't you go take this bird or cat and swing it around on strings and not call yourself a practicing psychopath, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point in being disharmonious with the place that you live in? Isn't that interesting, right? So no matter what cause, someone can hide behind, the actions reveal the identity always. And it's always up to us to make ways to keep communicating, to keep the lines open in one way or the other, where there's through song, dance, creativity, flat out protest, but with organized good thinking and plans to back up protests, not just unbridled chaos, right? Because as we see, and I'm expressing now, that yeah, the truth will be kept from you in a heartbeat. And but yeah, check it out for yourself. I always thought that that part of everything, like I always say, our stories is way more fascinating than anyone could ever imagine. But the beautiful part is that there are wonderful people on this planet who left things behind for us to be able to catch up with and study and get a newfound perspective, or a revisited perspective, right? To get more of the story. And that's how you can always tell, like when people say, yeah, we don't have any mentors, where's the good people at? There you go. The good people care enough, give a shit enough to leave something here for you and me to be able to catch up to speed. And the truth is that one of the weapons, exposure, so it's a share. And I don't care if it's 2 people, 10 people, 50 people, or a million people, but nevertheless, the sharing and the connective communication is one of our gifts. These vibrations, this math, or these whatever, we can share this information with one another. We can make an energy transaction, and hopefully the energy transaction is not one short change, correct? Or the energy transaction is not one-sided, correct? Certain things like that we make positive contributions that don't deplete us mentally, physically, and spiritually, but enrich one another. And like I said before, especially to the any racists out there, they won't like me because I love everybody. And I've dated all kinds of women. Not, I wouldn't say everybody on the planet, but white girls, Mexican girls, Latin girls, Asian, not too many Asians, but Asian girls, um, a few Middle Eastern girls. That would be cool more too. But nevertheless, black girls. I'm sorry, I just should have started with black. But nevertheless, just women are beautiful, no matter where you go, and people are beautiful no matter where you go and what you do. And one day I remember, I also want to share something else. One day I was a security guard once, and I remember, so basically, I was paid to people watch, right? So I used to do these exercises, even way before that, training in martial arts and things, to keep my eyes open, my ears open, and keep my mouth shut and not interact, but just watch and observe. So I was basically being paid this time to do my people watching. And I did notice our insecurities are very much harbored from outside validation. Like, we're not looking at the real picture, which is that what I noticed, even from a surface level, was that there's far more beauty than lack thereof. There's far more good people than lack thereof. You know what I mean? There's far more intelligence. Well, I don't know, that one could be on the fence. But nevertheless, just saying, there's more good in everyone than there is the potential for evil. Our default is nature's balance. Balance, you know what I mean? So there could be a gray here and there, sure. But our nature, I think our default setting is to go with the flow of things, because we live in it. You know what I mean? But there's the fear comes from maybe something that's being imposed. It doesn't necessarily complement the same magnitude of what we come from. You know what I mean? As beings, as everything, right? And I think that's what causes the chaos a bit more too. And I'm not the only person to say something like that. I've seen natives and other people talk about that, or the simple fact that someone can recognize it enough to write a concept called the Matrix, or to have other storylines that fit that, or so on and so forth. You know what I mean? To say something just doesn't jive right, it doesn't seem to go with the flow. It's like I'm conforming to something else that, and then it makes you feel all kinds of ways that you're not good enough. But the most powerful thing is to be comfortable in your own skin and do what was told to me. Like, where I share this a lot, but it's so cool, so simple. But like, I gave you the arms and legs so you can get right to the stuff, but I never once told you to rush. I'm gonna say it again, man. You know what I mean? To be okay in your skin and take your time with things, make your things your lifestyle, healthy things your lifestyle, not just because you want results. Live with a little trust, be vulnerable to this universe and this earth and all the beings in it, because we're in it together, kind of thing. And that there's more good guiding us and more good supporting us, and that we're better than we give ourselves credit for too. And to forgive ourselves for not knowing what we didn't know. And that's also reoccurring. The thing that seems to come up when I'm talking too is that in progress, you have to also forgive yourself. It's hard, but you have to forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. You know what I mean? That's exactly what a lot of life is sometimes. It seems some way, but you got to dig for yourself. And if you can't find it where you're at, seek out a source, and seek out a source. Like if people are talking about, Latin people, try to talk to some Latin people. They're talking about Greeks, try to find some Greeks. You know what I mean? Talking about whoever, just find some information that comes from the source to see the perspective. And if it goes any further than that, you can even, there was one guy who was brilliant, and he was a researcher, top class, and he was like, brought up something, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And you can go straight to the sources of certain embassies, and you can ask them if it's okay for you to review certain information, and they can give you the thumbs up sometimes. If it's something that can be public documentation and published work, you can have at it. They'll be like, yeah, go ahead, man. And you'll get the whole perspective from a whole different perspective. So you'll get other nuances and details of the lay of the land at that time in particular that you would otherwise not get. You see what I mean? And you'll get other parts of their inner culture, society's workings that tell you a bit more about their background and what they went through and struggles. And believe me, everybody's got a story. They've all got struggles. We've all got struggles. And even as individuals, we've all got struggles. I would concede, just like that old, I have to share, all these things are coming back. It's so crazy. But like, just like there was like a Buddhist story, one of those type of virtue stories, and it was awesome. And it was like the monk is telling the person that, or was it Buddha? I think it was Buddha in that story. It's about a mustard seed, right? And that he was like thinking that he should hold on to the resources because he's experienced so much loss or something like that. And then the Buddha says, whoever it is in that story, it's an amazing message, because what he says is, I'll concede what you say if you can find one person in this whole society right here in this little village that hasn't experienced loss. And he came back days later defeated and humbled because he couldn't find one person that didn't experience some sort of pain or loss. And then so I look at that, and everyone's got their own struggles, man. Don't personalize it. We're all going through our own tests, and it's up to us to decide with our actions, not from the things that happen to us. That doesn't define us. It's our actions. What will we do about it? What kind of world do we want to see? How will we follow through step by step, action by action, day by day? Gotta love it, man. There's so much beauty in us. Don't forget that. And hey, if you made a mistake, you made a mistake. Correct your ways. Apologize. Say, my bad. I made a mistake. I stepped in the doggy doo. I stepped in the doo-doo today. You know what I'm saying? Because we all make mistakes. But you'll live down your worst moment, and you'll recorrect it with your best moments. And things will get tenfold much better. You know what I'm saying? Be a more beautiful place. But don't give in to your shame. Rectify it, correct it. You know what I mean? That's why we make errors, is so we can correct them, become stronger, better, faster than before. The bionic man is on your phone right now talking to you. But yeah, man, my phone is telling me that. All right, I'm back. Yeah, my phone was overheating and telling me that it was gonna shut off, and it did. So I'm just gonna try to wrap up this video. I don't want it to do it again. But I was just leaving it off by saying, yeah, everybody makes mistakes. We all, we make errors, but I think that's part of the whole journey and experience of being here. We're just like children that come into the middle of a story that, a conversation that's been taking place a long time before us and will continue to take place a long time after us. But in our moment that we have, while we can't live in the past or predict exactly what the future is, but at least in the moments that we have, we can put our good foot forward and hand forward and heart forward and soul forward to make it the best place that we possibly can. I'm sure that in this time period, there's going to be a boatload of mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to live in an era of like remade mistakes, like mistakes that we probably already made and going to make them again for some reason. But that is why, you know, we get tested though. Like, you can't know the answers to the test. You would simply just answer from the cheat sheet and not actually learn anything. You're supposed to know why you make the right decisions, you know. Like, even you know, even with actions too, like being inclusive doesn't mean you just don't have a problem with someone. It means having, like, if you really have no problem, then you should have more than a handful of friends, a certain color or, you know, culture or whatever. Like, you should be trying to learn as much as you can all the time, and not have problems with, well, especially the learning part, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that would negate a lot of the misunderstandings that create maybe some issues other than personality types, which is a whole different ball of stuff. But you know, all these times that we're going through are ridiculous. You should continue to keep being a beautiful person, you know. My daughter, you know, like, I was gonna say, like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, not the ideology or like a group of people or whatever. It's in the eye of the beholder, which means it's what you like. You know, if you like, if you're a guy and you like, you know, dark skin, you like dark skin. If you like light skin, you like light skin. If you like flowing hair, you like flowing hair. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? You like them heavy set, it's fine. You like them thin, it's fine. You like them athletic, it's fine. It doesn't fucking matter, because it's all about what you like and what makes you happy. That's gonna make the world a more, you know, this whole journey or whatever, it helps that be a little bit more bearable, you know what I mean? And with that, there's someone for everyone. And all these other idealistic standards and all these standards people put on living is terrible, you know what I mean? It's really not that complicated, but you can make it complicated and then it gets really terrible, right? Like, so what'd you think about it, Chuck? It's terrible. So, but as you know, as Chuck would say, but as Barkley would say, you know. But yeah, man, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. As I expressed a little while ago, like, I don't have any preference when it comes to those things. I have no discrimination. It's all about how the person is, how they treat me, and you know, the qualities that they have as being a person. You know, for being fortunate can come and can go, you know, but the person that is side by side with you is priceless. You know what I mean? It can't be traded or substituted, because we are wonderful. You know, human beings are wonderful, beautiful beings, you know what I mean? And my daughter is mixed. She is, of course, black, you know what I'm saying? But we'll get into that right now a little bit more too. But because, you know, nothing's what it seems like. We're gonna get into the idiocracy of people thinking they actually have like a pure race and shit, you know. But yeah, like, my daughter, she is black, white, and Mexican, you know what I'm saying? Suck on that one. Whoever doesn't like it, too bad. Tough titty, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. She's wonderful. She gets the best of both sides, best of both worlds, you know what I'm saying? As far as my mom, her mom, and my genes, as far as like her brain, it's crazy. Like, she's on it, you know what I'm saying? She is on it. Like, she is a wonderful young woman. I was gonna say kid, but that won't fly anymore. But yeah, man, I mean, and when it comes down to my side of the family, my mom is what people would call high yellow, but then she also has a high bridge nose. That's where I get the nose from. And my red complexion and stuff like that, it comes out of probably both sides of my family, my mom and my dad's side. But in my mom's side, there's Indian blood, you know what I'm saying? My great grandmother on my mother's side, all the stories say that I'm closest. They said that me and my aunt that passed away, rest in peace, who was also a beacon of light and also a Leo. I love her so much, rest in peace, always remembered. But they said that her and I had similar complexion, if not the closest complexion to her when she died, and they said that when she passed, she had jet black hair and no wrinkles, and yeah, and she was definitely, it said she was Indian, Native American, you know what I mean? So even on my side, there's so much history. And when we did like the genealogy DNA thing or whatever, my family on my mom's side, the family who came back, like there's Pacific Islander in there, there's European in there, there's all kinds of stuff in there. In other words, people have been getting around the planet longer than you care to realize. And guess what? People were partying and mingling and doing stuff together, even on a, you know, not just oppression, you know what I'm saying? There's also, before oppression, people are just people kind of thing, just like how you see now. It's like people caught in the middle of tyrants bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Like in weirdos nonsense, and they get caught in the middle of it, but they don't give a shit about that. They'd rather be growing their garden and tending to the things that matter to them, you know what I mean? And so it's like, you know, people are people, you know. And but you have, yeah, you have mixed culture all up in my bloodline lineage all the way through. Yeah, even more intricate, interesting stuff, you know. But yeah, it's all in there. So there's like, you know, tough luck trying to find a, you know, anything. If you think, you know, whatever you think, it's probably not happening, you know what I'm saying? And it probably was never intended to be that way. If we were not intended to mix and commingle and do all those things, we wouldn't come out of one central area. We wouldn't be able to make, you know, adapt, and we definitely would not be compatible genealogically, you know, speaking, or whatever you want to call it. Just saying, like, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, you know. Make your own decisions and do them all, you know, the most you can. Make them all for the right reasons and stick to that. Like, don't be conniving just because it seems like the end thing to do. Like, don't be like following along, like how they used to say, would you jump off a bridge because all your friends were doing it too? Same principle, you know, same principle. Some of the old school, that's why they say that. So a little old school goes a long way, you know what I mean? And that's one of them right there. You know, the golden rule, old school, right? You know, do unto others as you want done unto you. Would you want someone to discriminate against you in any particular fashion or facet or form? Would you like to be systemically challenged, you know, and held back, or anything like that? You know, just simply just look at the finger pointing, like I said before, the finger pointing one way, then the other's pointing right back at yourself. You know, it's not good enough for you, so it's not good enough for anybody. You know what I mean? You know it's garbage. You know it's hot garbage. You know it's hot garbage. Get that out of here. But yeah, the most, and also too, man, communication again. All these things, they're so wonderful, but they just keep coming up. So communication, man, that's what we need. You don't hear from someone, reach out. You know, let's bridge the gaps. Too much extra nonsense put on top of these simple things, you know what I mean? Let's get over it. That's what I mean by, I think we're getting poked in the chest, and it's time for us to go forward and upwards, you know what I'm saying? Or else suffer the consequence of nature itself. You know, I really do think it's coming, you know, and it'll be by our own hand, just looking dumb too, just looking dumb. And I don't want that for anybody. And but I do, you know, already know what I think of people, you know what I'm saying? Think that we're wonderful. We're some amazing stuff out here. We're made of some great stuff. And we got the stuff, we got the tools, we just don't believe. Just like the Oracle said to Neo in the Matrix, said, you got the stuff, you just don't believe it. You know, so it's time for us to get over it, move forward and upwards. Oh, another interesting fact, according to the things I shared, look it up for yourself. But I remember one of my Mexican homies, he's so cool, he's an amazing guy. There's so many amazing Mexican people I've known throughout my life, but nevertheless, like, one of them was talking about how, you know, he was doing research too. You know, I was living with them for a while, and he was doing research. His name is Alex. Shout Alex, you know what I'm saying? Shout Alex in the fam, is his mom Blanca, everybody, wonderful people. And oh, and Lucio is the shit. Y'all don't know nothing about no Lucio. But yeah, but Alex was doing research too, and he found out that some of the same things I'm talking about. And he was like, dude, according to the research, Mexicans are one of the youngest races on the planet. How you like that one? That was also interesting. You know what I'm saying? Our story, the human story, is fascinating and more interesting than we ever could imagine or expect. You know, it's awesome. I don't care. It's awesome. You know, our story is crazy. It's crazy too. You know what I'm saying? But we're amazing. Humans are amazing. You know what I'm saying?
So regardless, I love everybody, man. I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and Lucio, why I said y'all don't know nothing about no Lucio, is Lucio is an immigrant, and Lucio had work visa. Lucio had A1 credit. Lucio was on his shit every motherfucking day. He is a testament to get up and get it done. You know what I'm saying? And we were always cool. He spoke barely any English at all. I believe he's from Michoacan. You know what I'm saying? Shout to Michoacan people. You know what I'm saying? And just the coolest dude. You know what I'm saying? Coolest dude. And on all about his business. You know what I'm saying? So like I've said in other videos, you know, I've seen great examples, I've seen poor examples, you know, but we'll get that around the whole spectrum. We'll get that, always get that around the whole spectrum. There'll be no difference, you know what I'm saying? It'll say ideologies and attitudes and personalities and things like that overall. You know what I mean? So you know, other you know, hopefully we just all make some responsible, or you know, some responsible, or some good decisions, man. Some loving decisions too. You know what I'm saying? It's all about love. It really is. You know, as cliche as it sounds. I told you in the beginning, it's cliche as it sounds, but it's true. So with that, I'm gonna leave y'all. This was a long video. I appreciate you for staying. Definitely like, subscribe, come along for the ride. I will always have more to share whenever I find the moment to share, and I like to make the time, put the foot forward, because it's all about the effort and the actions, right? So all right, man, love y'all, much love. Leave your comments down there. Let's be inclusive. Let's keep this energy growing. Check out the music, and let's elevate. Let's get activated. All right, y'all, peace.